and doing different things. Sometimes you do guys drowning over my face.
Okay.
Most of the time, Larry King took pictures quite a bit during that time.
I know it's difficult.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. And you know, Alicia, you're a victim. And with a young age, let's go up here, Mr.
We were appalled. Appalled. I don't even know if it comes across on the video, the way it came across to us in person. It was incredible. It's incredible what this kids went through, I think.
Larry King was also here. He came in and he drank and did cocaine. I didn't do much. He turned me on to it very soon did.
Drugs is a strong part of how they got control of some of the kids, because that's what some of the kids were there to get. They would do the sexual acts and then be provided with cocaine or whatever type of drug they wanted.
Heroin, you know, I don't know, but that was my drug of choice. Till this day, I remain an addict.
And those of us that didn't like to be involved and didn't want to be involved were threatened.
And who really threatened you more?
Larry King.
Larry King personally did?
And I think he did. And they threatened, you know, that I can go find somebody that will kill you and that will kill your family. You won't tell anybody.
Larry King was, I would say, the center of transporting the children around the country. The airplanes were usually in his name, at least in his name. They were paid for by Larry King.
We met them in Pasadena.
Met who in Pasadena?
We met when he was there. There was 3 boys that I had seen at one of the receptions at the French Cafe were there. And almost positive they were both son boys. Almost positive. They were there.
You mean graduates in Boystown or not present?
I think they were present because they were young.
Well, how would they get away so long?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Boystown came up frequently during the investigation, but we found it very difficult to get information about Boystown. I was not able to find any information on my visit there, and Shakira Dory did not get information either.
Boystown today remains unwilling to discuss its involvement with Larry King. We were banned from filming at Boystown, and its public affairs officer refused any interviews.
I would have to give you a flat no. I'm just going to tell you at this point that we will not participate with you. We have no interest in talking to you folks. It's something that we don't even care to delve into.
By the spring of 1990, the Nebraska State Committee was convinced by the evidence of an organized child abuse ring. Its chairman, Lawrence Schmidt, sought the advice of his lawyer, John DeCamp. On his advice, Schmidt turned over all the sworn evidence to the FBI. But immediately, the videotape testimony was leaked to a hostile local media.
The media immediately started discrediting the witnesses. They were, the witnesses came across in the media, in the Omaha World Herald, especially, as the criminals.
The last 3 victim witnesses were demolished by the press, particularly the Omaha World Herald. The paper never looked for information that would support any of the allegations. The whole purpose of the stories was to destroy any credibility these youth may have.
I've heard that people said that Gary Caradori coached me and that he told me what to say, but the fact was I didn't meet Gary Caradori until way after I'd already talked to the Omaha police about the abuse and had named all the same people.
Paul Benassi maintains that neither the FBI nor the Omaha police took his allegations seriously.
And they didn't ask me very much about Larry King or even Alan Bear at all. They treated the allegations that I made about people who abused me almost like a joke.
The stories were of such significance that the investigators first wanted to prove the accuracy of the stories. As they set about the investigation of the initially three, and then a fourth person was telling the stories, as the investigation developed, it became obvious to the investigators that the information was not accurate, that in fact it was an entire conspiracy of allegations, none of which had any truth to them.
I was very disappointed with the way the FBI and law enforcement treated the victims. They, in fact, turned them into the offenders, so to speak. And instead of taking the evidence that was delivered to them by the victims and interrogating the persons whom the victims identified, they seemed to bear down and try to get the victims to change their story.
It seemed to the investigators that the establishment of Omaha was closing ranks. Then Troy Bonner was brought in for questioning by the FBI.
The FBI's attitude was, just no. These kind of things don't happen. In the first interview when I went, and they realized they don't believe the fucking thing I'm saying, they were just appalled. But I realized what that look in their eye was back then. It was fear. It was fear of every, I had witnessed, firsthand things that would, destroy this city, people, a position, you know what I mean? It's not going to be believed, they said. It will not be believed. You will be found guilty of perjury. They weren't telling me maybe. They were saying, you're not, if there's no way. You go on with the story, you're going to jail. That was said to me direct.
Troy Bonner agreed to withdraw his videotape testimony. The FBI used Troy in an attempt to persuade fellow witness Alicia Owen into abandoning her evidence about Larry King's nationwide death